calendar is full and the clock moves too fast. Often our days are defined by getting from point A to point B as close to the appointed times as possible. Too often it feels as if there is little or no time for pondering the nature of life and faith. In our age of technology, we have a habit of believing that our condition is far worse than at any other time, but is it? In the times of the ancients, did they as a people also struggle for finding time to be with God? Perhaps our problem is that we have rejected the ancient practices of faith that help the spiritually worn and weary to find meaning and direction in their lives. The season of Lent is a gift of the ancient church. The generations of faithful who found a way to mark a change in lifestyle and reconnect with God. Lent is much like a spiritual journey that helps the pilgrim to intentionally pause in the midst of the rush between all the different points of A and points of B. While a Lenten pilgrimage doesn't require us to travel to a new land for reflection, yet just like preparing for any trip, it requires some thoughtful planning. How will we order our days so as to have the time for prayer and devotion? A wise traveler once advised that the best way to plan for a trip, especially when considering what to pack, was to put out everything you could possibly think of that you might like to take along, and then reduce by half all that you had laid out. Then, intentionally pack with luggage too small to accommodate what you have selected. The point is learning how to travel light. The same is true for a spiritual pilgrimage. Our lives are filled to capacity, and in order to have time for prayer and reflection, we need to purposefully look at uncluttering our lives for a time. How do we do this? A practice of the church that is most helpful is confession. Mistakenly, we often think of confession as merely a listing out of the times we have sworn or thought bad thoughts or cheated, or on and on the list may go. But confession is considering all the things of our lives that keep us away from God, all the things that clutter our lives, that prevent us from considering how the will of God would lead us and direct our days and our deeds. Confession can be that unburdening of our lives and the wondrous discovery of the amazing revelation of the intimate and ever-present nature of God in all of creation. God offers forgiveness and wholeness so that we can discover that no matter how far we may be from God, yet it is God who calls us home, and it invites us to live in the midst of His love. Confession is a first step in a pilgrimage that leads into the eternal love of the Father.